Today we have a really treat for you, high-end treat. We have the illustrious SHADOWPUNK, supporter of the arts, thespian, and philanthropist, where CG known worldwide, all around the place, and he's right down the street from me. I hope you will enjoy this. Well, we'll be joined by my co-host here in a minute. I think I've got Vaseline cam again.
Yeah, I know.
Pixelated.
Look at that. Look at that.
I'm in the
I'll,
I'm Mac.
I'll tell you something. In the city, I'm not going to name the city, but
Uh-huh.
the city I live in, the
Yeah,
internet is excellent.
yeah,
They
yeah.
and all my
Uh,
utilities go through the city,
uh-huh. Well, I knew
which
in past communications, this is SHADOWPUNK, by the way, as the name says. We're glad to finally get you on there. I see your post on X all the time supporting the arts, the finer things in life, comic books, a little niche, little corner of the world, but um, yeah, you're not that far away from me. You are in the city limits, I take it. So, um,
I am. Yeah, I just north,
yeah. Just north. So
just
you're
north
yeah,
of
okay.
the city that
You're
we
in
talked
you
about.
yeah,
When I go to your city, I
yeah, I knew you had asked me if there were any good comic book places and where they were that you'd be coming through this area, and I didn't realize you were so close. Does your city have a comic book place at all? No, not at
well,
all.
if maybe it does,
Yeah.
right? But I'm so new here
Okay.
that I don't really know.
Oh, you're new.
You
Okay.
know what I mean? So, but yeah, I lived a couple years ago. I'm 2 years ago. I moved here, but I'm up until then I lived in Michigan my whole life.
Okay.
So,
Well,
but now it's like I don't really know the lay of the land here. So a lot of times I drive to your city to
yeah.
buy certain food that I can't seem to find in my city. I'm like, it's kind
Yeah.
of strange, but like bread, good bread.
Well, I mean, Jonesboro is a larger city. It's like 80,000, and then during Christmas it's going to swell to over 100,000 because people from Brooklyn, Paragould, Walnut Ridge, I mean, just the Blytheville, all the surrounding places just come in here to shop. So, uh, I,
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
cool. It's cool, Wonder Twin powers activate in form of let's go out and eat sometime since you're so close. I know everything's opposite.
Right, totally. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, we need to
It's
get together.
it's
Did
it's
you ever
really
find the local comic book shops I was talking about? One on Marketplace and one on Stone Street.
I found the bigger one,
Okay,
the
which is
biggest
on
one. You
Stone
said
Street?
was the best. It's in that little. You turn right, and it's in that little plaza, and it's
Yeah,
almost near the end of the plaza.
B something
Yes, yeah.
collectibles.
It was.
Yeah.
I
That's where I go. That's where I go. Yeah. And then the other one's right down the street on Marketplace, right
okay,
down
okay. I
Nettleton.
mean, it turned out they knew their stuff.
They what?
That one's smaller.
Oh yeah, it is.
Is that comic book store?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, this place was not that big either, but when I went in there, they knew exactly what I was looking for when I mentioned it.
Yeah.
And they knew their stuff.
Yeah.
So, I was like, I found the exact book I was looking for. The reason I went there, okay, is because I did do a 3D Batman. And I wanted to pick a kind of Batman that hasn't been done before. Because there's so many, you can go to the store and buy them. You know what I mean? It's like I wanted to do something different. And so the one I did, I tried to do. I spent a month. Okay, and I know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the Raphael Grandpa Batman. And he has a different shape, mask, and cowl.
Mm-hmm.
A different thing altogether. And
Yeah.
like it wraps around his head, and the ears are not like normal Batman ears at all.
Mm-hmm.
I spent a month working on it, and I was like, you know what? I can't get it to work. I can't believe I can't get it with all the characters that I made for the campaign. I can't get this Batman to work. So I turned him into more of a regular Batman. And if you haven't gone through it, you just don't know. Right?
Now,
a month is a long.
You're talking about 3D print. You're talking about 3D printing, right? Just to let people out there know what you do.
Yeah, I'm talking about like this is the Wolverine I made for the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Sam Keith Wolverine,
which is SHADOWPUNK Inferno. Yeah.
Oh yeah, right. SHADOWPUNK Inferno. That's right. Mm-hmm. And then so I did them, and I did a bunch of them. I'm kind of releasing them every week as I build up to the campaign.
How do you get that patina look, that dark look for it?
I paint them. I hand paint them.
Okay.
Then I put a finish on top.
Yeah. Everybody's been going, wow, I like that. Now you have a giveaway, a possible giveaway of a Conan figure.
Yes. The Conan. Right.
Mm-hmm. It looks dope. We've shown that, and we've shown that Wolverine, and the links are down in.
Do you want me to show you the Conan physical one?
You bet. Sure. Yeah. We'll wait on you.
I'm gonna make a video tomorrow, which I do on every Friday. It's like Wednesday is the render with the artwork,
mm-hmm.
and then Friday I'm doing a thing where I release the physical piece so people can see that. So this is the Conan.
Oh wow. Okay.
And he's painted like he looks darker in the camera than he does in real life.
Yeah.
And he something about the lighting. But he is this is the Frazetta Conan.
Yeah, I was going to say he's based on Frank Frazetta's one of his paintings. Very cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people.
I mean, he's pretty big. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it almost looks like an Oscar, an award, like, and the winner is, it's great. A lot of detail.
So the way it works in the campaign is that it is like it's a thing. Mm-hmm. So if somebody backs the book, your backer number is your number to win. So when you get the Gemini folder and you open it up and you see one of these,
yeah.
Like if you won Conan, you'll know that you won Conan.
Yeah, that's cool.
And these are the stars my SHADOWPUNK shoots. They rip through people, right? So I was gonna do a golden Willy Wonka ticket,
mm-hmm.
And the more I thought about it, the more I thought it should be theme oriented,
Yeah.
So
definitely. Yeah. Hey, Marcus.
All the figures I made, they all have. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying hello to Marcus there, Marcus Killigrew.
Oh,
So you've been a
What's up,
supporter.
Marcus? I haven't talked to him in a while.
You've been a supporter, I know, of a lot of the campaigns, at least, giving shout outs to a lot of these campaigns for a while now. And you're new to Northeast Arkansas, but you've lived up Michigan. I know there's a lot of families in Arkansas and in the southern region, Tennessee, Missouri, and stuff. During World War II, they've got a lot of family up there. I had an uncle that lived up in Flint, Michigan, and he moved down here years ago. And sadly, he's passed away now after COVID, and his wife too, but my aunt. But my cousin moved into their house and stuff and lives here in town now. So that's cool. I had to go by there and see them. I used to go and spray her parents' yard all the time, when I went out and had their zone.
I went to the dentist one day, and I was just talking to the guy next to me, and he was from Flint, and he moved down here in the 80s.
Yeah.
And so the thing you're talking about is common. I've met a couple people from Michigan. The thing is, it's really expensive now to live in Michigan.
Yeah.
So that's a big factor with most people.
Yeah. I remember when I went to visit him in Michigan, and he would go up there once a year, even though he lived down here for decades. I'm not even sure. Maybe he moved down here in the 80s, but he lived up there for a long while. I mean, from the late 60s or the 60s to, sometime in the 80s, early 80s. He moved down here, I think, and first moved into our house, and then I think my grandmother's house or something, and then eventually got a place of their own, but lived down here and worked for Caterpillar there for a while. He worked in, I'm not sure, some kind of place that had like a pet macaw or something like that. It was a blackbird, raven or something. I don't know. But I was a younger child then when I went up there to see them, and I remember you could look over the Great Lakes into Canada from Flint, which was pretty cool. But he would go up there once a year because he liked the races, the raceway, kind of like NASCAR or something like that. And we actually got to meet after the very loud race, because they come around, man, loud. If you've ever been to one, that's been the only. Well, I've been to maybe one other race that wasn't quite as loud. Of course, that wasn't as big a venue, big arena. In fact, like going to Paragould, there's a way that you can go cut through there, like where KNA is. I don't know where you are, if you know where that is, but it's like I'm not sure what road that is, but it's not the one that goes through Brooklyn. And they got a little raceway there. But I'm sure it was, after the race, we got to go down in the middle where the drivers were and meet, the friend of my uncle's who was one of the racers, and see his car up close and stuff. So that was pretty cool.
Sure. And then on the other thing, I get a kick out of promoting campaigns, especially before, right? To me, I don't know how people feel about it. I think it's more important before to do it.
To have some build up and let people know when you're launching.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's some campaigns I think that really suffer because they have no build up. You might as well do a ninja launch. I know when I did my ash can, I was more prone to go in other chats and mingle and meet people and say hi and stuff like that. And I would show up, and some that were mods would drop my link and say, go sign up for this. And I would say, no, it's already in demand. The campaign's already run 60 days and it's in demand. And they're like, oh, we'll go back. And you think that people know that they're keeping up with your campaign, but that's not necessarily true.
Yeah. I've even contacted creators and said, hey, send me a bunch of images. I'll post them multiple times a day. And they're not always on the same plan. And you have a different idea how to do it, which is fine. I mean, but the other thing too is I noticed after my first issue, I noticed how important it was for any creator to get exposure. You know, to me, it's like a no-brainer. I mean, I figured it out, right? So, I mean, I'm an artist, right? And I'm like, that's important. So the way I did it is I would download if they didn't send me images, I would wait, and then I would download them from the Indiegogo or from the Fund My Comic, and then from there I would you know.
Yeah, you promote Kickstarter as well, right?
Yeah, I do, but the problem with Kickstarter now, I think it's changed, is that the images, when you say save image as, it's a format, it's an AVIF format. It's not a JPEG or a web JPEG. So it's a format that nobody recognizes unless it's on the actual Kickstarter website. So I'm like, so I have to go through a process where I screen grab them and crop them. And you got to go through a whole bunch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do that, but it's like, there's an easier way, guys. You know?
Yeah, I think sometimes Kickstarter's a little quirky with a lot of things, you know, like signing in before you get in there and everything.
Yeah.
It's not my thing, and I don't like how they take the money out later. And I've never backed a Kickstarter, even though there's been some nice projects over there. Really nice, you know?
Yep.
And then, you know, I think within the Comicsgate community also, there was like, yeah, you don't want to go to Kickstarter because of this, that, and other. And they have had trouble with cloning, you know, the Diaz Brothers program. And there was another, they cloned the campaign.
Really?
Yeah. And Dojo Kun Comics, who is a fraud agent with 5 different, he's got a license or whatever with 5 different agencies.
Yeah.
He submitted that, and he told me that he's actually surprised, because they usually go after the big racketeers or something, the big scores, but this is small potatoes. But they did look into it and get Kickstarter to stop, you know, and take those down, because people were pleading with them, please take this down. They're taking people's money in our name, and we don't like this. Take it down. Well, it's a clone. You know, we did not put this up. And they didn't take it down until they were contacted by fraud agency.
Well, Dojo's the one to do it, because if I did it, I'd say, hey, what the heck? Right? That's the wrong language to use. He knows the correct language to use. That's going to force them to change their way, right?
And you're launching October 10th.
October 10th. Yep. Thank you for putting that up there.
Are the signups going pretty well?
It's pretty slow. I think slow? That yeah, I don't. It's been
This is issue 2. How did I miss issue 2? How did I miss issue 1?
You weren't here for issue 1.
Okay.
You were, or you were in the background, like you didn't have a show.
Yeah.
Because I remember.
Could have been lurking.
I'm sure you were. You were a fan at that point.
I lurked for a long time, you know, and I had finally created an account, and finally started putting up content like 4 months later. And that was only because I started co-hosting with Apex Comics.
That's how it happens. That's how it happens.
Yeah.
You know,
and
I mean, people,
and he challenged me. I want to see 2 videos by next week. And I think we met like 4 days later, and I had 6 videos up. So, and I did it like through YouTube Studio for like the first 4 months. And then I finally got in on StreamYard and started having guests on. And then that's when the channel started growing. Really, I had my core group of about 30 something people over those 4 months showing collectibles and stuff, you know, because I've got a lot of original art, production artwork, one-of-a-kind items and stuff, you know. And
there are, I mean, people are different. People are different, you know. Some people, they really do want to be YouTubers. Like that's a thing they want to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is awesome, I think, because I'm not like that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm literally an artist. I like to work on my stuff and I like to create stuff, right? I don't really. I want people who are really good at YouTubing to be there. You know what I mean?
Are you an introvert or an extrovert or somewhere in between?
I'm
You think?
mostly I'm mostly an introvert, but I
Mm-hmm.
can be an extrovert if it comes about, you know. But generally, I like to do my thing. Right?
Yeah. Right.
So, and it's just, you know what it is? It's probably just decades of doing it one way. You know what I mean? Like if I
So
was a used car salesman, then I would be like, yeah, let's do a YouTube channel, you know, because I've been
yeah.
selling cars for 20 years, you know, or a game show host or something, right? But I
Right.
haven't been. I don't really. I'm just not that way, you know. And I think it's
Right.
great that people are that way, you know. It's a gift, it's a skill to enjoy talking to people and to do stuff like that. But anyway, so the first issue came out, and then uh, which was pretty good. I broke even on the first issue as far as
And
money goes.
and just tell me, where was Cyberfrog at? What was some other campaigns running kind of when you're number one? Just to give me a timeline. What year that was?
It was 23.
23. Now see,
Uh,
I was here since like 2021, something like that.
okay.
So
Well,
I just must have missed it, slipped through
I
the
mean,
cracks.
yeah, and I think that uh, Cyberfrog 2 had come out
Yeah,
already.
Wreck Planet. Yeah.
Yeah, Red Planet had already come out. And
Okay.
then I think it's around that time.
Yeah.
I
What?
launched around the same time uh, Joe Sontag launched and Groken
Okay.
2 launched.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it. Something like that.
And
But
was that on Indiegogo?
yeah, yeah,
And this one's going to be on Fund My Comic, right?
that is the plan. Because
Okay.
they Indiegogo, I don't necessarily have they just take more money from you. I mean, and
Oh
you
yeah,
know, and that's
definitely.
something I think is kind of a no-brainer, you know.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I'm gonna go for my comic, and see how that goes. I'm assuming it's gonna go great because people seem to use it and it's awesome, you know.
Right.
The money thing is to me is one of those issues where I go, well, why? That's pretty weird. Why would if you're gonna save that much money? Let's just say you have let's say you have a huge campaign. That's a lot of money to just let go of, right? Instead of going to fund my comic and you can save that money.
I am now sub to you. Thank you, Omer Glitch, for dropping that. I wasn't sure if you had a YouTube channel or not.
Yep.
Uh, so I'm glad he found your channel and your connection there. Now I'm number 93. Uh,
It's really like a deposit where I put all my videos. You know what I mean?
mhm.
That's really what I use it for.
Right.
Like I have a trailer for for Shadowpunk Inferno, so I'll be putting that up there at some point.
Yeah.
Um, and
43 videos, by the way, up on YouTube right now.
I have 43.
You have 43. Yep.
Wow. Okay.
And I watched your new trailer. I know you sent me a lot of artwork, but I don't know that you sent me the trailer.
I can send you. I can send you the trailer. I'm not sure it's good. It's. I can try to send it. I guess is the right word,
Okay.
right?
Or
Yeah.
put it in the private chat or something.
Oh, can you do that? Oh,
Yeah.
it's gonna go.
If
It says
if you
it's
got the
going.
link,
No, there's no link. I have not posted it anywhere.
well, I talked about now, is this a cover here?
It made it. I think it made it. Hold on. I'm not looking at it. Yeah, it made it onto
Oh, okay.
into the thing. Yeah, that is okay. So on my campaign, because of the 3D figures, there is a
Mm-hmm.
Conan tribute cover. There is a Wolverine tribute cover, and then there
And this
is a
is
Hulk tribute
Jim
cover because
Steranko. king size annual number 2, right?
That is correct.
We were talking about that just yesterday, I think.
That
being
is
one of my
also
favorite
one
numbers.
of the. Yeah, that's also one of the 3D figures I made. I haven't shown it yet. I haven't released it yet. But I will. And it's really cool, man. It's like I mean, they're all pretty neat. They're all unique in their own way because some of them, like the Hulk one, that actually has text built into the figure, and it's just a different cool thing, right? It's not pure carnal claws and Conan-ish, it's something different, right?
Right.
And yeah, I'm excited about it. They're really, because
In
you're an
fact,
artist too.
yeah, well, thank you for saying. Yes, I am. I consider myself an artist up to the last few years, and then it's like, I became kind of like the writer,
Well, do that too.
and so, I mean, if you're going to do comics, you got to kind of do both in a way, and if you can do both, and so.
Omer Glitch says there are unofficial 3D figures. They're official for my campaign, right? I don't know how you classify official or unofficial. But yeah, there are some of the images I sent you have the figures in them, And as an artist, one of the fun things I'm really looking forward to is who's going to get them. I really want somebody to get the thing I made because I think they're going to really love it. You know what I mean? And so, if you end up getting the Conan or Wolverine or the Hulk one, I think that's a cool thing, man. Someone need to get that. You made it. It took me a month to make each one. So
a month, okay. How long have you been crafting like that and doing that?
It's 20, maybe 10 or 11 years I've been doing 3D.
Okay.
But
it's really evolved over that time, hasn't it? The technology and the resources and stuff, the materials to do that.
Well, yes, the 3D printing has really evolved. And that is a big factor. I don't know what that means, but like you can't call them Conan or Wolverine on the campaign unless
you should
they
be
are,
able to. I see people
they,
doing that all the time on their campaigns.
Yeah, I mean that is.
I mean, like Graham Nolan and stuff. He's got images of stuff that he's drawn from DC characters and stuff. For head sketches, and I don't know if he says okay Batman or blah blah blah. It just kind of the images speak for themselves.
Well, he makes a good point. I guess I'm never going to sell them. You can't buy the figures.
Yeah.
So they're never going to be for sale ever.
Right.
So
it's a giveaway.
They're going to be they're going to free giveaway. So yeah, it's an excellent point, Omer Glitch. To bring it up too, it's a good point. But yeah, I just want somebody to get it. I'm excited for people to be excited about it. Yeah. So, but yeah, so that cover you showed is the Hulk tribute one, and then did you get the trailer?
No. I was looking in my history of things that I'd played, and it wasn't in my history for some reason. But I did play your trailer recently and watch it. I think I might have. You know what? I played it yesterday on yesterday's show, and it became my thumbnail. Part of your trailer became my thumbnail.
This trailer is a different trailer.
Oh, okay. It's a different. You haven't dropped that on YouTube yet, but you're going to. Is that right?
Yeah, but it is. It's in your feed. It's in the messages I sent you. You scroll down.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my Conan tribute. Yeah.
This cover here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. It doesn't overtly scream Conan to me, but kind of with the pose and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I can't paint like Rosetta, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, that was I did it in my style. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so and it's also that that's what it is. You can just say, hey, that's the cone. What's connected.
Most of the 3D things that I see are like gray plastic, but this Wolverine, based on Sam Keith's Wolverine, looks white here in this picture. But is it like the gray like plastic that we're used to seeing, that is usually painted later?
Well, that's just a 3D render.
Okay.
That is not the one I held up in front of you. That's the one that you get.
Right.
Yeah, that's the only difference. So you can get into this at one point if you want. You can get into the story of SHADOWPUNK.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that. I don't know how much time you have. We usually go a couple hours, but you don't, it just depends on your time schedule, how
Yeah,
long you want.
I mean, I was thinking an hour, but maybe we
Sure.
can't fit it into an hour. I don't know. It
Yeah,
really
well,
is
we went like 31 minutes right now, so we got 30 minutes. We can surely talk exhaustively about SHADOWPUNK. You,
totally.
so I'm going to put you on the spot. Uh, where's your 30-second pitch? What is SHADOWPUNK? Distill it down for us. The good hard, hard cider, the hard liquor, the white lightning of what SHADOWPUNK is about. Because you don't look like all leather and you know, I mean your name does, but when we see your image, it's not like you're all tatted up.
Okay,
You're in leather.
here.
You're cyberpunk. You got goggles on. You got a mohawk. I mean, you're not that way.
Well,
So
okay, so I'll
maybe
lay it out for you. So the first issue of SHADOWPUNK. Here's the first
okay.
issue. If you missed it, yeah, it's she's and it starts out when she's on her own in the ruins of Detroit in the future, and you don't know how she got there. And the first issue is how she becomes SHADOWPUNK. She starts from like a stray kid, right, living on her own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She meets her mentor, and she becomes SHADOWPUNK. And she's just a kid. She doesn't really have the ability to see very far in the future, right? As all normal kids can't. So she makes some pretty bad mistakes, and her goal is to find her family. You don't know how that's happened yet. I haven't told the story yet. At the end of issue 1, there's a big bombshell, and you sort of learn kind of what happened maybe to her family. The
So
evil
people have
regime
been
that runs
waiting
the
on this
city.
cliffhanger for 2 years now to find out the continuation in issue 2.
They have been waiting.
Yeah.
Yes. And then the second issue is the horrible fallout from what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And she is forced to go down into the darkest part of the city to get the thing that she lost. You'll find out when you read the story, and it's kind of her fault, right? She's kind of guilted into doing it too. It's not so clear cut. So she has to go down deep into the heart of the evil city to get the thing, and so yeah, and they know that she's coming too.
Let me read what you have written here, and then maybe you can add that to that. In SHADOWPUNK Inferno #2, Mira confronts her darkest hour in the shadow-drenched ruins of apocalyptic Detroit. Battling ruthless enemies, hunting for her mentor, she is forced to journey deep into the heart of the guild to find her stolen backpack and uncover the truth of her tragic past. With a 4 jaw-dropping covers to choose from, this 48-page full color comic book delivers gritty action and breathtaking artwork. All backers are automatically entered in a raffle with a chance to win one of the free and exclusive 3D handcrafted statues printed and painted by myself. Hold on for a campaign like no other. Very cool.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so it is her backpack. That is a thing she has to go get in issue number 2. And, if you've never read the story, you don't really know why. The backpack is a source of energy like no other that her mentor created. So, and she loses it because she's young and unwise.
Mm-hmm.
She makes horrible mistakes, right? And that's why. So she has to sort of correct it. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, you're so I mean, you kind of set these things up, the conflicts, and then how does the hero, so she's kind of on a quest for this backpack, and it's leading to a very bad area of Detroit, correct?
Yes, I mean, so there's an evil regime that runs the city.
Mm-hmm.
And they are connected to her mentor somehow. And when you read the story, you get a feel for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not going to spell it out for the reader yet.
Right.
And her parents, the parents of her parents, are connected as well to this regime. And you get that at the end of the first book. You kind of get that that's the truth. That there's something horrible going on. So when she goes down to get her backpack, the city has a really bad problem with power, like energy sources. And so they got the backpack so they could power the city the way they wanted to, make it into like a prison city. So she has to get it back. Otherwise, everything's lost. They're never going to be able to enter back into the city again. And the regime that runs the city, they want the backpack, but they really want her mentor. And they want him, and they don't know where he is. He's kind of like like the old man Bruce Wayne.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, old man Bruce Wayne in like, yeah, it says Cyberpunk, you need to add your YouTube channel to all your other social media. Add it to your X, and that sign up page. YouTube is where the cheddar is at, he says. Laugh out loud.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's good advice for sure. Hey, yeah. This is good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I was on his show last night, the Hump Day show, and it's kind of like a drawing. And, we had a guest on, Edwin Acevedo, last night, and talked about his project. And there was someone that didn't have X on or didn't have their YouTube connected with their X, and they weren't aware of that. And then and it was one of the panelists, Frederick, and he said, well, I'll remedy that, and he put his link in there, because I asked him, do you have a YouTube? I don't see that you have it on X. And he was unaware of that. And I was unaware of that, of adding my YouTube to my X account when it was Twitter. Somebody had to tell me, you need to kind of link that up, and so, yeah, I think that's kind of key.
What? So yeah, I mean, it's good. It's good advice. Well, it's key for you because you're actually a YouTuber, right? I'm not a YouTuber, but people will be able to find my videos, I guess, on there, or like my trailer, my new trailer, whatever.
Yeah,
they will be able to find it there. So that's actually a good idea. But I mean, for you, it's a big deal because you're a YouTuber.
Yeah, but so, I mean, you say I am, and hey, Mrs. G,
you are.
I am. Well, I'm on here every day, but does that make me a YouTuber? I'm like one of those seclusive artists that, like to just work on the art and be a recluse and put my head in my shell and, do my own thing. I mean, that's why 9 times out of 10, I'm at home. I'm not gallivanting around spending money or doing other activities. I'm at home because everything's here for me. It's like my office. It didn't take COVID to kind of convince me to stay home. I was already staying home, and isolated, you know, because
Right.
and
Right.
I don't even have Emerald streaming TV, but you know, there's the internet if I want the news or something, you know, but it's all negative. So why do I want that anyway? You know,
Yeah.
9 times
Yeah.
out of
I
10.
mean,
And I usually get physical media, which is more collectible anyway. And like, you know, watch what I want to watch. You know, I'm very selective. Like I just
sure.
finished all 12, 20 seasons of Gunsmoke. Uh, because I had watched enough of it that I knew that it was solid show.
Yeah.
And yeah, it does hold up from 1955 to 1975. Absolutely. The stories may change and the writers and stuff, but the cast is pretty much solid. And you know, it's they turned in a good story every time, just about. You know.
Well, it makes a lot of sense what you're saying. You are, I mean, you do have a YouTube channel. You've been around quite a while. So to
Yeah.
me, that, you can't really avoid the label, Yeah, I mean, maybe you don't, maybe you can call yourself something else, but,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
but I'm,
I guess I don't look at myself as a YouTuber, but I mean, I definitely am. I guess. I mean, this is episode 1210. You know.
yeah. Well, no,
Uh,
I don't mean, he says that, Omer Glitch says, I think it's a dirty thing. Not at all. I'm not saying that at all. I'm
yeah.
just saying the YouTuber it's something different than what I am because
Yeah.
I like what you just described, right?
Yeah.
I like, I'm just doing my artwork, I mean,
Right.
YouTuber is somebody that enjoys getting online and communicating with people and doing stuff like that. It's totally
And
awesome.
but now I've seen you in some chats, right? I mean, you get out and you watch some shows and you do talk to people in the chats, right? And say hi and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
And you're very active on X. I see your postings all the time which is you take a back seat, really, because you're promoting other campaigns that you want to see do well. And sometimes more than once, a lot of times more than once, if you're really behind that. Um, so
well,
you,
let,
you
me-
know,
let me say it like this too.
okay.
Not only do I love promoting people because I think it helps them, right?
Mm,
It keeps me in the loop and communicating with people because I'm exactly the artist that you just described, right? So I
mhm,
like doing that. And then the other thing too is I'm like, guys, you've got to promote your stuff. Come
yeah,
on, you got to do it. You got to put stuff out every single day. You got to
yeah,
put something up there, and you got to, even if it's in the loop so people see it. And some of these people, I mean, I'm posting 3 times a day, and they're doing it once every couple of days.
yeah.
And
And
I'm like, this is cool.
I'm even worse than that. Now I'm on YouTube every day, but that reach is only so far. Uh,
Well, I mean, but you don't have an active campaign right now. When you do, you're
yes,
going
I
to
do.
actually. Oh,
Yes,
you
I
do?
do. I'm over on Fun My Comic. That's the trailer I played earlier.
Oh, is this second issue of Devil Flyer?
Well, I had an ash can in 2023, kind of when
Okay.
SHADOWPUNK #1 was coming out. I had the Devil Flyer ash can, 24-page
Okay.
ash can, and it just closed on Indiegogo about 2 months ago.
Oh
Um,
wow, that's a long time.
yeah, yeah, I left it up there for a couple years, but I was getting backers still up till,
Yeah.
the last 6 months. In fact,
You
Omer
know,
Glitch was my last backer.
it makes a lot of sense to do it that way. When I did my first campaign, I
Mhm.
kind of did the same thing, but and I think that's it's logical. To me, it is logical, but artistically, I want to. You always want to complete the project
Right.
and then move to the next one and
Sure,
complete
but I
that one.
mean, when you fulfill, you need to, and
Yeah,
you may be on a shoestring budget. I've heard Ethan say overprint by about 25%, or that's his model. So I've tried to follow that, which mine, I'm dealing with much smaller numbers, about 100
yeah,
issues on that, probably about a little over 100 on this one, and then print the overage. Um,
Okay.
Depends. I might even bump that up some if I'm thinking about doing, because it is the first complete issue. That's a little different than the ash can, but
Okay.
wound up doing over $1,400 on that campaign.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
for an ash can, that's not bad. And I'll tell you what, toward the end, when I was like showing stuff like, hey, just like on this campaign, this everybody's charter member card has just come in. I've
Oh,
just got
cool.
that printed. But when I was like showing the trading cards that were getting printed up on the campaign for the
Mhm.
ash can, and when I was showing people the magnets that I made, for the campaign, then everybody was jumping in, and I probably did more. I did like more on the back end than I did the front end when it was live campaign.
Makes
Uh,
sense.
yeah, and
Because
I
it's
just
also
basically, these weren't stretch goals. I just gave 3 bookmarks, 2 trading cards, and 2 magnets away for free along with their book. As a thank you.
I had debated, because I still have my backer list from the first issue. I had debated sending those people random 3D figures, right, to promote the campaign. And it's just one of those ideas I had at the time. It never really came about because it's so much effort, But I would like to do it, So the other thing too is some of the characters in my campaign, the 3D figure characters, like she has a sword, right? But some of the characters have like guns,
Right.
and they are characters that Okay, I mean, the second you see it, you're like, yeah, that guy has always had a gun. It's a famous gun, So I spent days on the gun,
Mhm.
days in 3D,
Mhm.
having fun making it, And so I thought about, and I much I do it is just printing the gun alone, maybe
Mhm.
putting it on like a little like a trophy kind of platform,
Mhm.
and paint it up and send that to people because only so many people are going to win the grand prizes, right? So this would be a fun way to give something smaller to people that
Well,
didn't
I
win.
I I got to be honest. I was very excited to have you on ShadowPunk because I know you're great. I was kind of making fun at the beginning, saying, in a very hoity-toity voice that we have true
Right.
thespian here
Which
of the
is
arts,
right.
uh, a philanthropist here. I don't know, because he's giving away these 3D things that he loves, his artwork, and um, not everybody's out there doing that, and that's got to be. Is it fairly cost effective? Is it expensive to like pretty expensive to do that? Okay.
Big
It's a
time, big time.
eh, when I hear them like printing out like ears and noses and with a new liver or something, that's
Oh,
amazing to me. I know that's different than what you're doing, but wow, who knew that we would be printing out organs,
okay. So
in some cases.
just because I know most people don't do 3D printing. So what I'm going to tell you, you would never have known. So I'm going to use this as an example, right? As
Mhm.
the star. So you think, wow, that's actually pretty simple, right? It has some thickness to it, and it's about the size of your hand or whatever, But you might take a bunch of times printing it to get it to print.
Yeah.
It's going to melt. It's going to break. It's going to be perfect, except for the thing right here is going to be all melted, right?
Uh-huh.
Or like, his claws are going to be, his ears are going to be messed up,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so, when you 3D print, there is a handful of things that can go wrong,
Right.
and there's no black and white science to it.
Mhm.
So the
Is
money
that
you're gonna
because you didn't put enough material in there, in the
no,
vat for, because it's melted plastic, right?
it's 3D resin,
Okay.
which
Okay.
I guess in a simple way is feels like hard plastic, but
Mhm.
a bottle of 3D resin may cost you $20.
Oh, Okay.
right? And this guy, printing him once might take up 3/4 of the bottle, right?
Yeah.
But you're going to print this guy 10 or 15 times before you get him to be right.
What about cleanup?
Well, people are different. I try to clean it up every single time. The resin is like motor oil.
Yeah.
And it's in a reservoir. So every time you print it, whatever's left over, you want to put it back in the bottle and then clean it up. And now clean it up with rubbing alcohol, right? It's a process. And so some of the characters, if you're printing something like a Valentine's heart, you're not going to have a ton of problems. Okay. But if you print something that's complicated, like a character, and so and everything needs a support, otherwise it's going to collapse when you print it.
Yeah, I mean, much like I did some bronze casting and things like that in out at ASU, the university, and you would have sprues where the metal would, go down those avenues to get to the main figure, right? And it's like a support, but also it's a channel, and then you have to lop those off after you get it cooled down. Is there similar things, kind of like your old punch out models that you would get? You'd have the, basically the frame that you had to punch the stuff out. Is it the same way on this?
The way it is that you'll print them like this with this back, and then around here you're going to see, like, how buildings have scaffolds when they work on them. You're going to have scaffolding around him.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about with the sprues. Yeah, the scaffolding, basically.
And so some of the characters, like this character, I could pull it off. I can wiggle it, and a lot of it will come off. Some of the characters are very delicate, and you can't do that because it'll break pieces of the thing off. So you have to go in, and it's like motor oil. It's like
now,
honey,
is there a clear polymer that you could like brush on the finished product and make it stronger? Maybe a shell around it to protect it?
That is what's on these characters. Okay. And that's why it shines. Yeah, I put a polyurethane on there. And that loan I had to experiment with.
Probably a matte finish. You wouldn't want a gloss finish with that, right?
No, I put a gloss.
Do you put a gloss?
Finish, okay. Yeah, because it looks kick-ass with the fucking gloss.
And well, I mean, like, it almost looks, if you didn't know and pick it up and feel the weight of it and everything, it almost looks like a cast bronze,
Yes, that is the idea. You know why? Because I realized pretty quickly I'm not Johnny Figure miniature painter, right? I don't have the skill to make that look excellent. I have the skill to make it look okay as far as painting goes. So I'm like, I'm not gonna go in that route. So I figured this way makes it look like a cast bronze, just like you said, right? And that way it could look. It would look as professional as I could possibly make it.
Now, I know you're printing the base of that, but have you thought about getting like little, this would be an extra added expense, but I imagine that you made some of these for yourself to put around the house, right? So have you thought about getting, like putting that pedestal on another pedestal, like a little cutout round marble thing or something to even bump it up, or maybe with a nameplate, curved nameplate or something on it?
Right now, what I have one idea that on the front, I'm going to put created for the 2025 SHADOWPUNK INFERNO campaign. Like a little small, like some of they'll be silver or bronze. And as far as the other thing goes, that would be more up to. I'm in the world of making this. Right.
Well, like I thought for yourself,
Oh, right. Yeah. I mean, I'm so consumed with getting that right. Right.
Have you considered putting like a non-skid bottom on it, like a felt bottom or something else that would?
I have considered that. Yeah.
With the adhesive glue, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, whoever wins it and they can do that,
Right.
I mean, but Anyway, I will say this too. Okay, I started out making miniatures of like superheroes, and the detail compared to this to that is 100% different, right? Like you don't need lips on something that small, right? So,
right.
My skill level has gone from this to that, and it's been pretty fun to do. And I never ever would have thought that I would be the person you'd see a 3D model that's really cool and he made it. I never thought I would do that. I'd be that person. And here's the odd thing about it. Up until I started doing it, I've never done any sculpting ever. And the first time I picked up, my buddy's like, "Why don't you make a Hulk?" You know, because we're playing HeroClix. "Why don't you make a Hulk?" You know, so I'm like, "Okay, I guess I'll make a Hulk." So I go up and I start doing it, and yes, right, exactly. And right when I started doing it, I automatically could do it. I have no idea why that is. I knew anatomy, and I was already doing the Hulk, and I was already making them. This was not a problem.
So you're programming the Hulk in there, and even on those little plastic figures, I've got like from maybe the 70s or 60s, I've got a Clark Kent or a Superman, and his head's elongated. He looks like an alien, a real alien. Of course, he is an alien, right? He's not born of Earth, but you get what I mean. Or maybe there's a figure that's missing an arm, but his hand's still down here. He's missing this part. He's got this part and he's got this part, the hand there, but that's all missing. And you're talking about the same thing with this. Aren't you programming it in so that everything will be there when you're finished? But you're saying that that's not necessarily works out that way.
Well, it's not. I used to, by the way, I used to do Omer Glitch's ass. I used 3ds Max and Mudbox to do it. So you don't really program it. So it's all done by hand. Like I take a box and then I will physically in 3D pull parts of it, do this, push it. I'll physically make it. And then the things that are organic, I will sculpt those in 3D. It'll look when I do it, it looks like I'm sculpting clay.
Do you use like a tracing template or something like you're doing for Zeta artwork? Do you kind of like have that as a guide, I guess, to go?
Yeah, I mean, for the figures that are tribute, the ones that are like that, I would look at the thing, and I would eye it, right? I would eye it, and that's all you can do. You really can't when you do 3D. You really can't.
Yeah.
Template it at all because it's in 3D. And the other thing too is that, everything looks great from that exact angle. The Sam Keith thing, he's at this angle, right?
Right.
Right. Yeah. You don't know what's happening over here.
Exactly. I mean, that's what I learned at the university when taking 3D design or sculpture. Is with a sculpture that's actually a physical thing in 3D, it has to look good 180 degrees around. Every angle needs to be aesthetically pleasing.
It does. And when you do 3D figures, the thing I kind of adopted, the thing I think I learned was that characters that have organic muscle, and then they have hard objects next to them. This is a great it looks awesome. Like the sword next to his organic hand is a way to simulate texture and difference of objects. And it really pays off.
Now, is this all one piece, or do you piecemeal it like you do the sword separately? Okay,
no,
it's all one piece.
No. Let me rephrase that.
Okay.
In 3D, the pieces are separate.
Okay.
When I print it, it's all one piece.
Right.
There's no like we're gonna stick it with glue or nothing. It's all one solid piece.
Okay.
But when you build it in 3D, like this arm here is separate from his torso.
Okay.
Right? Because by the way, the Frazetta anatomy is crazy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and you don't really care. You don't really care because it looks awesome in the comic book store. But when
Right.
you have to analyze it and make it, you go, what the heck is going on? This is
Yeah.
not right, you know? And so, yeah, you have to make it as close as you can possibly. It's pretty close. Now, I'm just going to tell you, this thing's pretty damn close. But
It's kind of hyper realistic musculature, isn't it?
and he doesn't look like a bodybuilder. He looks like he's been fighting his whole life, which Conan has, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, he nailed it. It's the physique of the battlefield.
Well, that particular piece that you did, he looks more brutish than maybe later paintings that he did of Conan that he kind of refined.
Yeah.
But this particular one that you modeled that after is really like stark and you know, but
I mean, he looks like fucking means business.
yeah.
I
Like
mean,
what's your name? What did you say to me? You know,
exactly. As a
like,
matter of
whoa,
fact,
don't say hi to him. You know, you go over to the other sidewalk and avoid him. Totally.
yeah.
If he wants to speak to you, he'll come to you. You don't go to him.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that look on his face, he dialed it in really perfectly as an artist, right? And some of the other ones, he looks different. He doesn't have the bangs. He has the helmet on, or he has a different thing.
Right.
Apparently, he's fashion oriented. He changes once in a while. You know.
Well, I mean, there is different stages in his life where like King Conan and you know, it's really sad because that last scene in Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, Conan, where he's sitting on the throne, looks badass and everything with the beard and everything. He's older and got the crown on and stuff. And it's like, yeah, I want to see that movie too. And we never got that movie, you know?
Well, yeah. I mean, and then when you watch the second movie, and that's a fun movie too. I'm not saying it's not fun, but you see why they made it that way, right? Because movies are so expensive, and they're not savvy enough at the time to make the follow-up look as gritty as the first one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Savvy is the wrong word. You know, they need to make money, right? They need monsters kids can relate to. You know, unfortunately, you know what I mean. So it's like
snakes and
snakes, but the second movie has like a monster he fights.
And think about it, early 80s, the tech wasn't there. I mean, they could be done so easily.
Yeah.
And look so good today if they really put some funding behind it, you know. But back then, everything was kind of hard to do. Is it you either do it practical or it's, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Even the snake, it kind of looked jacked up somewhat. I mean,
well,
and then he kind of played him Red Sonja too, but he wasn't the Conan character, you know. And it was hard not to put him over there, compartmentalize. He's another character here in this movie.
The difference for me, the difference in the first two, the first and second movie is the first movie, he's more the essential Conan. And in the second movie, he's your buddy kind of, right? He's an affable guy, and he might have more jokes this time in Red Sonja and stuff. It's not the pure movie. It's more the relate to everybody movie because we want to make more money off the franchise, which is that's their prerogative. You know, the movies they made afterwards of the other Conans, they weren't bad, but they didn't have like the James Earl Jones magnetism.
Right. Kevin Sorbo played one iteration of him.
Yeah, I mean it's a different animal altogether, right?
Yeah.
I mean but it's a deliberate decision to get the black magic in there in the first one, so that you go, oh man, that's fucking wild, right?
Yeah.
And so then it's more family oriented later on.
Well, besides, the animated Fire and Ice that Frazetta actually had some, input in on with Ralph Bakshi, there wasn't a lot of that genre out there in the movies. And it seemed like in the 80s, some of the early, if you want to call them superhero movies, Red Sonja, the two Conan movies, where we're actually getting some. I mean, when it comes to that, I think Frazetta, he's one of the reasons we got D&D. He's the one of the reasons he kind of created a subgenre, his own kind of genre within illustration. I mean, that's bragging
Yeah,
right, you know, just by his cover paintings. And
it's the
it's
thing about
commercial art. It's still commercial art, but it's, it was uh ground shaking. I mean, you could probably say Marvel might not have, Roy Thomas might not have thought to push Conan into Marvel in 1970 had it not been for Frank Frazetta's paintings,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about that too, though, is that, he was where he belonged, making paintings and being the spark for the things that you just described. That's kind of what
Mhm.
he is. And for example, if they made a movie that looked just like the paintings, like literally like the paintings alive, it
Yeah.
would lose. It would lose. It would lose because the definitive thing is a one thing. It's
Yeah.
one thing, and when you start making reproductions of it, it's a different thing now,
Well, like
right?
the one you sculpted is earliest Conan, or one of the early paintings that he did for Conan, and he looks more brutish there. In other
Yeah,
works, he actually looks different, and he's conveying different
yeah,
aspects of the character, like rage, or there's that one where he's jumping on this gorilla that has the the scarlet cape on. He's like an intelligent gorilla, I guess, and he's like hopping on top of him and going to kill him. You know that's different from this stoic, brutish
it is.
Neanderthal looking that he first did Conan as. This is probably one of the most brutal iterations of
Sure.
Conan that's ever been done.
Yeah,
Really.
I think it's the pure version,
Mhm.
right? It's the he's never going to apologize for killing you, right?
Yeah,
But
no, he's not. No.
but I mean, it's like, and later, this is like the Hollywood formula. The first version, like Indiana Jones, is closer to cool as hell, and then it becomes more family oriented. It's a formula. Iron Man was the same way, and that's how they bank on all the movie deals and all that stuff. As long as you know that that's what they're going to do, that's okay.
How did you get into comics?
I'll tell you what. People are different.
Mhm.
Some people are sci-fi readers,
Right.
right? And they're going to read, Blade Runner or do Wayne and George believe Dream of Electric Sheep type of. But I'm an art oriented person. So when I
Mhm.
was a kid, I got Hulk comics. I got uh, all of them, and I just remember I was just mesmerized by the art form. And everybody was like that. I would lay them out, and I still remember them.
Mhm.
There was like a lot of L. Milgram covers, a lot of Frank Miller covers. There was the one where the enemies are lined up on the sides and the Hulk is down in the center. And it was like an L. Milgram cover. And it was
Yeah.
like awesome. And I just
Well,
like,
I mean, besides Gil Kane, Al Milgram's probably done more covers than I can think of any other artist. Both he and Gil Kane, I mean, Gil Kane, I think, did some of his best work. He started out like DC doing the Atom and things like that and made a name for himself.
yeah,
Then he
yeah,
really ramped it up, and I think got one of the best designer of covers for for Marvel in the Bronze Age. And then it depended on who inked him too. I mean, in the early 80s, in the 80s, he inked himself more, and he actually used a felt tip pen. He didn't ink like other inkers did. Alex Toth would ink like that too with the felt tip
hmm
pen.
yeah, yeah.
And
Well, what's funny?
it gives it a chunkiness, and it doesn't have the variety of
Finesse.
line weights
Yeah,
to it.
yeah. One of the ironies about L. Milgram that nobody cares about unless you're into it. So he was a great cover artist, and he did probably my most favorite Hulk image ever, which was the Marvel Universe Handbook cover, where he's like turned a little bit like this, and he's looking, and it's like that to me was the perfect Hulk. And the irony is that his interior, when he would do interiors, and then he's under the gun to do a ton of work, which is what that is going to be. His work was not nearly as good, and I couldn't,
He did so many West Coast Avenger covers. I remember.
Did he?
Yeah, he did a bunch of West Coast Avenger covers, and was doing a lot of the interiors.
When I was growing up, I had a friend who loved West Coast Avengers, and I was like, "What? It's kind of like the 90210 of Avengers." It was a little bit like a drama, and he loved it. And it really showed me that people are just different. They have different things they latch onto. And he was as smart as anybody I ever met. It's not like I was smarter than him and I liked something better or anything like that, But it goes to show that people see different things in artwork, So some people might not like that Hulk I like in the Marvel Universe, but they might.
Well, I mean, it's hit and miss, I mean, the Steve Ditko that I was exposed to in the early 80s and the 80s was different than his 70s, different than his 60s work. I mean, some evolve and some de-evolve, if that's a good way to put it. Some get better and some get rusty and corroded, I'm not saying that happened to Ditko by any means. I mean, I didn't, going into it, it's like I was drawn to what I liked, which was George Perez. That got me collecting. But there were other artists that spoke to me too. Sal Buscema's Hulk in the Defenders.
Totally.
Yeah.
I have it's like a thing I do where every artist has their version of the Hulk and their version of Batman, right? And often one of those is not good, and one of those is really good. So one artist might have I'm not going to say, I'll use Frank Miller as an example, but he did good ones on both ends. But he did a great Batman, obviously. But his Hulk was not, maybe his Hulk wasn't nearly as cool, or it didn't tap into what's great about the Hulk. But there are better examples of that where you just go, no, that doesn't fit. You're not really a good Hulk guy, but you kick ass at Batman, And it's kind of
I read Hulk in the early 80s when Al Milgrom was doing it, he's not my favorite artist, but he's done a lot of covers when you look into it and he's done a lot of interior work. I mean, he's one of the hardest working people in comics, but he's flying under the radar of a lot of people.
And here's the reason why I think is his style wasn't
flashy.
It wasn't distinctive, even if it was well done, right? Even my favorite Hulk one I told you about, it's not like Sienkiewicz or something or Frank Miller, right? It doesn't have a style where you go, that's the Milgram style. So he could draw really well. I didn't know he was editor on Hulk. And then Marcus just said that. That's awesome. Maybe I knew it, I forgot, but the thing about it for me, he would do these covers every once in a while. The cover would just jump off. You would go, "That's kick ass," right? And so, that's enough for me to pay attention to the artist, right? You go, that guy really, he's tapping into it sometimes. He's not Walt Simonson, right? But he's got his own thing. It's pretty cool. It doesn't, and artistically, you see this also in Comicsgate. People have different styles, right?
And one thing that we forget, kind of like movies, we've seen. I can name what's his name, Peterson, that did CSI. and did like To Live and Die in L.A. and The Beast and
Oh,
other
William
things.
Peterson.
William Peterson. I think he's a great actor. I think he can do a lead. He can play a certain type, but he's never really gotten the big things like Harrison Ford, but
Of
it's the
course.
same way in comics. It's like, okay, so Al Milgram's doing the Hulk. Okay, and then this time he's doing like West Coast Avengers. And that may not be your A-list thing because John Byrne's doing it, or Sienkiewicz is over here, or Frank Miller's doing that, right? Or a Mike Zeck's doing this. So there's only so many slots. And
So many slots, yeah.
yeah,
So hard.
and if it's a B-list book, you may not get the eyes that some of these A-lister titles do, or the distribution. So it's
Well,
kind of like an actor. Did you get the rows that will really draw eyes to your portfolios and your work? And with Al Milgrom, though, he's there. He's solid. He's kind of like Sal Buscema. He's been there. And he's kind of in the shadow of John's work. But they both have a savagery to their work.
yeah.
Um, I like John Buscema's women because they look like Savage She-Hulk, the first 2 issues that he drew. They
Yeah.
look like they could rip your head off, and they're just sitting there looking alluring. But Sal Buscema, his brother, is a little bit different. He's savage about backhanding somebody and they go flying,
Yeah. When
different
I think
kind of
of
savagery.
both of those guys, but
Mhm.
Sal, to your point right there, he really mastered that Marvel style,
Mhm.
right? Where he
Yeah.
would do the angle, he had the frame is angled, it's perfectly lined up,
Mhm.
But you know, it's one of those things where you, as I get older, you go, I didn't like Steve Ditko when I was a kid. Maybe I didn't get it, or I didn't like
Yeah.
Jack Kirby as much. But when you get
Right.
older, you're like, that's pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, that's got some magic going on there, and you can't put your finger on why it is. Like if I went and tried to mimic Steve Ditko, you would go, huh? It would be like the magic wouldn't be there. And
Yeah.
there's an intangible. Like artistically, I am probably um, like the 2 artists I would connect my artwork like, even if you
Mhm.
can't see it, is
Yeah.
Jay Lee and Steve McNiven. Those are 2 artists that, because
Yeah.
Steve draws things with a skinny line,
Uh-huh.
right? It does a lot of that, and I like that. That's kind of
Yeah.
just me. I'm not a thick and thin guy. Um,
Oh, yeah?
and it's just my brain,
Mhm.
even though I love it when people do it, I can't do it. Okay.
You will love the Devil Flyer story then, because it's all like thin line stuff. That's just John's style, the way he does it, and it's got that golden age feel to it. And I didn't
Yeah.
even really I've known him for like 45 years, so I never really said, your stuff looks kinda, but it is retro. He's a DC guy, I'm a Marvel guy.
It
Even though I
looks
read DC
DC.
and Marvel, I was more
It
of a
looks
Marvel guy.
it
Yeah.
looks it looks vintage DC. And by the way,
Mhm.
I'm just gonna say it out loud, and then people can throw rocks at my head if they want to. Vintage
Boo, hit it.
DC is my favorite DC era. Silver Age DC, right?
Mhm.
I understand. I love all the cool shit they do now. It's all really cool,
Mhm.
right? But there's something in the Silver Age DC where you go, that's never going to come back, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's
And
a thing.
And I think retro, I've been saying this for a while. I think retro is going to become hot again. I think you're already starting to see the first footprints of that happening. And I think as more things become public domain, I mean, in a couple years, we'll be celebrating Star Wars 50th anniversary. And so Star Wars
Right,
is going to be hot. There's certain things that you can predict about the future if you know what's become before in pop culture. And pop culture is really now hitting the public domain. The very first vestiges like the pulp era And then once we get past the pulp area, you'll start going into stuff like Wizard of Oz and, I
Right.
mean, just things that are become staples in our
You know,
lives,
the key to doing that is the Darwin Cook approach, which is you can't just mimic the thing you think the 60s or the 50s was about. I'm not saying you think this, but I'm just saying this is, you have to take it and bring those qualities into the new thing, right? Which is freaking hard. I mean, I'm just telling you, it's not, if you can, because, even like if you told George Perez, hey, George, we need you to do this like Frank Miller, like Sin City.
Yeah.
He will go, what are you even talking about? I don't speak that language, or vice versa, by the way. Vice versa, if you told Frank Miller to draw all those characters, he'd probably shoot you in the head, There's just no way it's going to happen. But you just learn to appreciate Comicsgate is like this too. There's all these different artists who do their different styles, and you learn to appreciate them for what they do, what they're really good at. Not to put them into like they have to be more this. Personally, I like to create my own style. I don't knock people from not doing that, or they do like a halfway. But I just, maybe I'm less of an artist or something. I
think you're right on it, because if you want to be an original, you almost have to, like I say, take a step back, see culture for what it is, and have some influences, but don't let it be over influential in your life. If you want to find your voice, you're going to have to find your voice. And that takes some exploring,
There wasn't, in the old days, you would go to the museums and you would copy Rembrandts or something, right?
Yeah,
and
understudy,
and that's how you learned how to do it. And then they had this huge struggle in their career. It's, how am I going to make something, and I'm not going to do that anymore, right? And it's a super. If you haven't done it, it's like it's like hardwired into your brain to paint.
Well, look at Bill Sienkiewicz. He was, and Mike Nasser. They were like Neil Adams wannabes in their early career, and then something happened. He took LSD or something, and look at what Sienkiewicz is. Look what Sienkiewicz is involved into.
I'll tell you what happened, because I went to art school. I studied all these guys, and I studied the illustrators that came, that did magazines and book covers and all that stuff, right? So before I say it, Sienkiewicz is a tremendous talent.
Absolutely.
And he in my book, I don't care if he's a psycho. He is a total massive talent, unparalleled in my mind. Okay, his style is a version of Bob Peak, the movie poster illustrator. He did. He was famous for doing Excalibur, for doing Rollerball, where there's a gleam. Right. He was famous for Apocalypse Now and all those Star Trek. Right. So he took the Neil Adams thing you just talked about, and he turned it into he merged those two a little bit. And maybe that's more than any artist can ever say, that they transcended their original thing and got to their thing. And I don't want to take anything away from him, but that's what he did.
Well, I mean, look at Barry Windsor Smith. He was a Kirby, and in his defense, he and like Rich Buckler and others were told, draw like Kirby, and so he drew like Kirby, and probably more than anybody else. But by the early 80s, when he's doing his Machine Man limited series, he's found his voice.
Big time. By the way, I'm glad you brought that up, because when you said, like, how did you get into it, like as a kid or whatever, Machine Man was one of those books that blew my mind.
Yeah,
I can't tell you why, but it's one of those things you just go, Kirby must have come up with the character out of the two. I think he did, out of the 2001 comic book.
He did
but
in
it was just
2001, the book. Mm-hmm.
he could draw gizmos and machinery, and it just blew my mind. And I would
Yeah.
just sit there, I would line them all up, and I would just look at them. I would absorb it. I'm sure
Yeah.
everybody did that to a degree.
And it was headshots of him he would show a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more till it was complete on the final
Yeah,
issue. So
yeah.
that was kind of like, you know, uh, I think
It's
that's how you about have to do crowdfunding, is almost like those limited series of the 80s that became so popular, like Machine Man, or,
yeah.
just about everybody had Gargle from the Defenders even had one with a Bernie Wrightser cover, and Cloak and Dagger.
Cloak and
Dan Lawless
Dagger.
said that was the first thing that he had worked on, was a Cloak and Dagger limited series. And I love those limited series. And then all the graphic novels, it seemed like everybody in the 80s got a graphic novel, at least one, like Ron Wilson that did um,
Right.
Marvel 2-in-1. He did his boxing, sort of super box, almost like Inglorious Rex is now, in the indies for Shane Davis. So, I mean, so much was developed during that time, and plus the direct distribution and stuff. But then, the spinner rack went away. I mean, the whole distribution thing that had been set up for decades just dissipated fairly quickly, and it's like you can't walk into a pharmacy, a grocery store anymore, and you can't find that magic anymore. The closest you come is like a little Archie Digest at checkout.
Yeah.
What the hell?
It's real. I'm sure it's intentional and some agenda to do that, because it was
It's a
too effective.
conspiracy, folks.
Well, it was too good to last. One of those things where we're not going to let kids' imaginations go off the riff. It's more than money. There's more than money involved here. But
My first comic books was me sitting drooling at about 2 years old and watching Johnny Quest, Space Ghost, Herculoids, stuff like that. And then later Super Friends, Thundar, Thundercats, whatever, and long before I read a book, I'd been exposed, and I knew who Spider-Man was from commercials, whatever, the 67 Spider-Man, whatever, or the Spider-Man and his super friends, or whatever it was, with Iceman and, and then Spider-Woman, on cartoon. I mean, that conveyed so much to me, and I never even picked up a book. So then when I did experience comics, it's like, when I saw the Rich Buckler cover on the first Avengers I picked up, it was kind of like meh cover, really. It really was. It's one of his weakest covers. But to me, it was like magic. I mean, and the Beast seen from behind has that hair like this, kind of like Batman has that. And I thought, well, that looks like Batman from behind, except with, muscular and hairy. And so I remember thinking that and thinking that looked like Batman. Well, how did I know Batman? From the cartoons and other things? And, it's not like I collected Batman, but, it's so ingrained in our culture now. Kids see that stuff and just pick up on it before they even find a comic book.
Marcus made a good point there about the newsstand wanting to carry more higher end magazines and whatnot. And I'm sure that was a big factor too. Yeah. I mean, Marcus's experience, Marcus is like in John Longspot's, they're from New York area, New York-ish, right? I mean, we're out in the Midwest. We're going to the store, the grocery store, or the he's got newsstands on the corners, right? With stuff like that.
See, I never got to experience that, even when I went to Manhattan in the late 80s. I don't think I ever came across a newsstand.
Yeah.
Out on the sidewalk somewhere. Yeah.
That's the wonderful thing about big cities, that they have they have everything there for you. And and in the smaller Midwest areas like Arkansas or Michigan or whatever, it's just there, but it's it's just.
Hey, we just got a Dunkin' Donuts here about a year ago.
Right.
We've never had a 7-Eleven here.
Right.
I mean, culture comes slow to the country, and we're one of the
Yeah.
larger cities, and really all the money of the state is up where we are in Northeast Arkansas.
Is it? I didn't know that.
If you go to the lower part of the state, you'll see a different demographic altogether. You'll see like oil derricks pumping oil, you know,
Right. Right.
uh, the diamond mines and stuff are down there. Of course, there's caverns all. We're the diamond state. We're the only one with diamonds.
That's
Um,
right. My license plate has got a diamond on it now.
yeah, yeah.
It's
So
crazy.
yeah, I mean, I remember being in fifth grade, and they said if we broke apart all the continental states, Arkansas would be about the only one that could be self sufficient because it says we got a little bit of everything. A little bit
Really.
of oil, a lot of gaming, reserves and stuff or whatever, a lot of duck hunting and
Okay.
deer and stuff. I mean, but if we had to be all separate countries, with any aid, I think we could probably survive on our own. Of course we grow a lot of crops around here and stuff and have mosquitoes, of course, and humidity, but man, it's been sweltering of late.
The thing about Arkansas that people watching might not know this, and I didn't
Mm,
know this until I moved, is that the heat isn't really an issue because it's not that expensive here to cool your home.
yeah,
But
cost of living is way down from Michigan.
way down. And
Mm,
here's the other thing that's the biggest bummer is that at 70 degrees, it's humid as you can possibly imagine. And
yeah,
so now you can't really turn the AC on because it's 70 and you'd be a pussy if you did that. Right. So you're stuck until you're waiting for the temperature to get higher or lower. Right. So I think it's because we're so close to the Mississippi. I think there's
yeah.
a thing, I'm guessing that's what it is, but
Well, now
man,
you get, there. I think there's a line, of at least that comes from Little Rock, and it like hits Walnut Ridge, and it hits Paragould up north. Most of the rain often misses us and hits Walnut Ridge and Paragould. It does not hit Jonesboro, or the worst of it seems to go north of us. So I
there
think
there's a
Paragould and Corning and a lot of those
yeah.
northern get a lot more rain than we do because they're kind of
So
in that line of where the weather comes through. That doesn't
I,
mean that we don't get tornadoes. We had one show up about 6 years ago or something, cut through all the way
yeah,
Jonesboro through Brooklyn to Paragould and beyond, right in the heart of the city almost. And there was one really bad one that destroyed Jonesboro in either 67, I think it was 67, 68. I was very young, but I remember it. And then because that really devastated us. Um, and in 1973, there was a really bad one, even worse than the one that was in the 60s that tore up everything. And I can still, if you know what came before and you've lived here long enough, you're like, yeah, that corner was wiped out. That McDonald's wasn't there. There was a burger chef, I think there, and they were McDonald's main competition. This is before Burger King moved in, and they did reopen after the tornado came in and did some damage, but they never recovered. They closed down and McDonald's bought them up, and they've been there ever since on that corner, you know, wiped
yeah.
out the Walmart.
I mean, but I'm sure people don't want to listen to us talk about the weather, but I will say this before we get off the subject is that
Yeah.
aside from tornadoes, which I have not seen any yet, the
Thank
weather
God.
in Michigan's more extreme.
Yeah. Because you've
The
got the
rain,
Great Lakes there, right?
that's what it is, and it just in the winter it's
Hmm.
insane. The winter is like the worst summers here.
Yeah.
It's like, but you know what? Like I said, you can cool your home for very little, and it's that alone is a big deal. right?
did
I don't
you,
know. I think that the cool pump I've got.
was it job related, your move, or do you have family down here?
No, I moved down here because Michigan was too expensive,
Okay.
and I drove.
Well,
Part of the
most
reason it took
people
me
would
so
go,
long,
what the hell, Shadow Punk? Why Arkansas of all places?
and here's what I will tell them. I will
Okay.
tell them I traveled all. This is why SHADOWPUNK 2 took so long to come out, because I had to fix my house up and sell it, and then I had to get in the car and drive all around the South. So I looked all around, and I had not many good deals in my price range. Okay, so when I got here, I found a brand new house in my price range that I could just buy, and it has brand new everything.
Yeah.
And I thought, and it's even up on a hill.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this sold itself, right? That's why I'm in Arkansas, because the deal was too good, and the people that made the houses, they know that. They made it so good that people couldn't say no, and that's why. Yeah, and my yeah.
Where you live, you remember Hall and Oates? Oates' parents used to live there.
Really?
I don't know if they still do or if they passed away. They probably passed away by now, but I don't know that for sure. But they're
Really? Like,
yeah.
he didn't grow up here though, right?
Huh?
He didn't grow up here though, right?
No, I don't think so. Now, from where I'm at in Dice, Arkansas, like going to Mark Tree through Truman, right?
Okay.
That's where Johnny Cash was born, about 45 minutes from me, which is just out in a farm field, just rural. It's even today, it's just out there in the middle of nowhere. But and there was some kind of big ball player, professional ball player, major league baseball player that came from Dice as well.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because they've got a sign up there, home of Johnny Cash and this other guy, Hey, Raul.
Right.
Raul, DM me, say hi or something. I'm trying to find you for some reason. I can't remember what now, but DM me, will you, and say hi to me, so that it will go up to the top. Yeah, I was real excited to get you on because you're not, quote, one of those dirty YouTubers, but you are out there. You're out there in the chats. You're out there posting about projects that I assume you believe in and you want to see do good.
I'll tell you what, man. I'm so impressed with people, the stuff they do. They do styles that I can't do, and these campaigns, some of them don't make a ton of money either.
Yeah.
And I'm like blown away.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is fucking crazy, dude. That thing is awesome. And some of these people are, they're excellent writers, right? They know
what
how
Grow
to do it really well.
You know what Grow can, you mentioned that earlier. You know what Grow can kind of reminds me of, just kind of glancing at it, almost like Keith Giffen's Trencher, almost. It's just that off the chain artistically. Like you can't compare it to anything else.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because today I was on Kayla's thread, and she was posting an image of an old Image comic, and it was a Roquefort babe, and and I'm like, who did this? And she was beside herself that I didn't know. She's like, you don't know. And I'm like, the whole Image thing, that wasn't a part of the comics when I wasn't as interested. I'm really like my favorite artist, is Mike Zeck. Mike Zeck is one of my favorite artists of all time. Right?
Punisher, Captain
America, and the Secret War. I get, but my point is, everybody has an era that they really like,
Right.
And you know, I mean, the Image guys are unbelievable, right? But to
Yeah.
me, comics is 80s and 90s, you know, 70s, 80s, and 90s. That's for whatever reason I'm stuck there, right? I just
But then
love that stuff.
again, you mentioned you like the Silver Age.
I do like the stuff, but I don't. I do, but only because DC did
It's
it so good,
yeah.
and they tapped into something that people just don't tap into anymore, right? That the Silver Age Green Lantern, you
Mhm.
know, people would say, yeah, it's kind of gimmicky, you know. It's like it's got giant hammers and scissors or whatever, you know. And I'm like, I get that, but man, the way it's drawn is elegant,
Mhm.
and the way it's colored, just, man, I love coloring, you know.
Well,
And I just,
you talked about illustrators, and I would consider Kurt Swan, who drew Superman well over 30 years, to be one of those not flashy, but very he
yeah,
could do anything in his
yeah.
style, which is more illustrative, you know, like you would see in magazines and stuff for out of illustrators. And we think about that pre-computer, all the ads required artwork. And then that all kind of dried up with the computer and stuff. And we do ads totally different. It's either photography or something else. Very few people go to, let's say, a Neil Adams who did a lot of that stuff in the 70s, you know, and even movie posters, well-known movie posters, you know, but that kind of dried up for the artist.
It's a tricky business because when you're working in entertainment and stuff like that, you always have to evolve and stay. You have to create the trend ahead
Mhm,
of time,
mhm,
like a David Bowie. You've got to be the guy that makes the trends
yeah.
and knows what's going to happen in 2 years. And you know, people like Marvel. So Marvel's a good example. They made their comics more realistic.
All right. Well,
They,
how do you do that? Okay, I'm going to apply that to my life. And something you said earlier is be unique, find your voice, don't be overly influenced by other things that are going on, and create your own trend. And you might just stumble into lightning in a bottle, you know, something original.
I think the way that you do it is number one, you accept the fact that what you do might not be as popular as Frank Miller
Mhm.
because
Right.
he's honed it. He already did it. He's honed it to a knife edge, right?
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
so you accept that fact. You go, I'm going to do it and try it for a while, for a long time to see how it goes. I generally think that most artists are able to take, if they analyze it well enough, they're able to take what they do and make it better and better and better. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I think in doing that, you make your own style. But you do need a certain level of self awareness, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're Al Milgram drawing, you got 6 days to draw the next issue. You're not going to worry about that, right?
Yeah.
That is not your
Well,
problem.
I mean, I always have to keep that in the back of my mind when looking at any sequential artwork, right, or cover. How much time and a deadline did they have? Is this really their best work that they
Yeah.
could have done, or the best work with the time limit that they were given?
You know, a good example of that, do you remember years ago, there was a Joe Madureira, Joe Mad?
Mhm.
Remember, he did a Hulk. It was a dark Hulk and dark Wolverine. Well, it was a red Hulk and Wolverine.
Mhm.
And it looked like very cartoony.
Yeah.
And it didn't look like Joe Mad's typical stuff. And he got kind of roasted for doing it. And, you know, time is an issue. You really, you know, I mean, then again, some of these guys are just drawing the book, right? Like Al Milgram's just drawing it. He's going to give it to an inker as he goes along, right? So, you know, in comics game, some of us are doing inking. We're doing the whole thing, the color and everything. So it
Right.
takes longer, you know. And they're only doing 22 pages or 21 pages
Yeah.
compared to 48 or whatever, you know.
Well, you
So
know,
it's
I heard a comment from Jim Cox. Your book is 48 pages, Cyberpunk Inferno. And he said at minimum with a crowdfunder for the premium price that we're paying, I want to see 48 pages. So that's kind of the standard in crowdfunding, I think, in my mind too. And that was one reason I took that to heart and said, okay, 48 pages it is, you know,
I
unless
think
we
that's
expand it.
I think it's probably a good thing to go by. There's probably
Hmm.
exceptions to it. Like, let's just say you are Kenneth Rocafort and you're going to
Hmm.
come out with a 30 whatever page book. People are going to
Yeah.
love it because every page
Yeah.
is gold. You know what
He
I
could
mean?
probably do a floppy of 22 pages and people would love it.
They
Yeah.
love it. You know,
Mm.
I mean, um, and the other thing too is his style is he's honed that style for so long, right?
Hmm.
That he knows that people love it. But let's just say if he was Steve Ditko, and Steve Ditko, his style isn't as amazing as I think he is. His style isn't kind of Roquefort. You know,
Hmm.
it's not as flashy and dynamic in the same way. But I
Right.
would love it, you know. But I love Steve Ditko, right? So um, it's a tricky business, you know. Trying
I
to
mean,
figure.
is there, you mentioned like, okay, Steve Ditko, but what era? Or do you like him totally? Or is it like,
No,
do you have artists that are like, well, I like Kirby, but I like this era of his drawing and not necessarily
yeah,
that decade of drawing?
yeah. I
Uh,
mean, to me, my favorite Kirby era is around like Fantastic Four 80, where
okay.
every page is like an illustration, right?
Which would be
Uh,
like late Silver Age, early Bronze Age, maybe somewhere in there.
Probably. I mean, yeah,
Mhm.
probably. I mean, it's when they're fighting the Sandman and Blastar,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
you know, but you know, someone like Ditko, maybe I kind of like his early stuff. You know, I mean, his later stuff is cool too, but artists have a thing, just like musical bands.
Hmm.
Okay, when they're desperate to make it, and they're putting everything out into it, then you're going to get the best work from them. But when they get older and they're rich and they have a couple pools, you know, life is not so hard. You know,
Right,
they're
right.
going to lean on the
They
typical riff.
they may phone it in.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I
Yeah.
think it's human nature. I'm not saying Ditko did that, but I mean,
You're
some
wearing an
people.
Iron Man shirt. Who's your go-to for Iron Man?
Okay, my favorite Iron Man artist ever is Bob Layton. Uh,
Okay.
I,
He's
I,
still
I,
doing commissions and stuff.
yeah, I've often thought about getting one. I, but that doesn't take away from from all the like Kirby or Tuska. I think Tuska did him.
Yeah.
You know, Mark Bright and Bob Layton were an awesome team, and John Romita Jr. and Bob Layton were a great team.
And
I
Gil
fucking love them.
Kane did
You know, I mean,
great Iron
that
Man.
era, the era in the '80s.
Hmm.
Even though I did not like the Scarlet Centurion armor,
Oh
I,
yeah, I remember that.
I'm not a huge fan,
Well,
but
you had like the armor that the stealth armor. You had the one that went in space. You had the one that
fuck yeah.
went under the ocean. You had all kinds of armor introduced during that time.
I'll tell you what. Also, my probably the best cover, and this is saying a lot because Bob Layton has a lot of awesome covers.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
okay, the best one is the one where Iron Man has the Hulk wrapped in chains and they're going down underwater.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's
I would say
that,
probably the most iconic is John Romita Jr. though, where he's, you know, it's almost like I guess it's an homage to the very first cover done by Don Heck in the gray suit, but where he's putting on the armor, you know, and it's got these panels on the side.
yeah, yeah.
They
That is,
and you
yeah.
you know it's good when they reuse it like a stickers, magnets, or up in the Dicko's box, you know, corner box, or you know. But yeah,
I'm
I
gonna
mean, John
challenge.
Romita Jr. had a good run on it as well, leading up to like the Bob Layton. And I kind of looked, I like Bob Layton's Hercules miniseries. That's
Yeah,
when I knew he wasn't just an inker, but an artist as well. And he also did a one shot in 1983, The Origin of Galactus. That was really
he
good.
did. That's right. And he
Hmm.
also did obviously this the Secret Wars. He picked
Yeah.
up from Mike
Hmm.
Zeck. And, you know,
Hmm.
you notice the difference, but they're still it's still good, you know, and just different. I mean, Mike Zeck. The thing about Mike Zeck, okay, is that his artwork is cartoony, but it's also has a gritty realism to it,
He's
right?
short. I've met him. He's short. He's kind of like Sienkiewicz. He's short. Um, he's a nice guy. When I met him 40 years ago, he had black hair. You know, he's probably gray like
Yeah,
me now,
yeah, yeah.
but he I'll tell you something about him that you probably didn't know. He did two covers for a book that Charlton put out in the mid 70s, about like 1975, Monster Hunters. That's some of his early work. He actually he did a few things for Charlton. I don't know if that's where he
Man.
started out at, but I was like, wow, that's a Mike Zeck werewolf cover. Cool, pretty cool, you know. Um,
And you know, like his run on Spider-Man and the Craven thing. I
mhm,
mean, that's just unbelievable, dude. It's like
yeah.
it looks cartoony, but it looks okay. Not to my stop my book Shadowpunk has a kid feel to it, an all ages feel to it. But
Mhm.
when you get into it, it's a dark. It's like dark.
So
And
is it for adults? Is that the age
yeah, yeah.
appropriation?
It's for everybody can read it. There's nothing racy in it like
Okay.
that, but it's all ages, and but it has a darkness to it.
Okay.
And I guess I bring it up because I see that in Mike Zeck's work. You
Yeah.
know, and that's something that you can't dial that in. You either have it or you don't,
Yeah.
right? If I said, hey, Rex, when you color your next book, you need to color it like Shadowpunk and make it dark. And
Mhm.
if you didn't inherently do that kind of a thing, you might be
Right.
able to pull it off, but you might have to. It's just not your normal thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm
If I
like,
did it, it wouldn't be digital colors. It would be traditional. But you know, there's a lot. We've looked at a lot of comics nowadays being made, and I think they're just too dark. You know, they don't pop like a Bronze Age cover where it's more, I don't know, flattened cover and where I can look like 10 feet away and tell what's going on. Wolverine is attacking uh,
yeah,
the Hulk, and that's Wendigo in the background. You know,
yeah.
I can tell that from 20 feet away. But now some of these covers that are colored today, they're so dark and there's so much going on. Yeah, I think they got some of that aesthetic from the Image books. Not that every book was like that, but that was the era of like, how much can I fit on a cover? You know?
You know what? The Image made such an impact, you can't avoid it. You
Yeah.
can't they are the new thing for a while, and
Hmm.
and you really when I color when I get to the point where I color a page or a cover, I will stand back. I'll judge it like from right here, and then I'll go back over there. I'll go to the bathroom, go get something to eat or kitchen or something, and then I'll look at it from a distance to do exactly the thing you just said because
Yeah,
it has to read, and
it
it's almost
does.
like it's like looking at
And
your
it's great to have a stylized logo, but if you can't tell on first glance very easily, that's a bad logo in my way. And if you can't not, it's branding. Everything's branding. I'm sorry, it is. It's branding,
it
especially in
is.
publication. And you need to be able to. That's the Coca-Cola logo. That's Starbucks. Wow. You know
Well,
who knows?
I will take it another step further, and I'll
Okay.
say there are exceptions to it. And
Yeah.
let's just say the art style is so like we talked about Kenneth Roquefort.
Hmm.
If Kenneth Roquefort didn't put the Groken logo on the front of the cover, you'd still know what it is, right? I mean, you would know that he did it, and you would go, "Shit, that's fucking cool," you know. So I mean, it's like not everybody can pull that off for sure. But if you saw Marv from Sin City, you know, you don't need the, you know, so not everybody can do that. You know, we all do need to have the logos and whatever. I personally I don't like to make my books standard looking comic books. I want them to feel like they're different. I don't know why that is. There's nothing, obviously there's nothing wrong with all the artists we talked about, and those covers are unbelievable. But for whatever reason it is, I just gravitate towards unique. And if unique says people can't, where's the thing that says how much it costs, or the logo in the corner of the box, like in the top left, like at the heads, you know, whatever. That, you know, I'm never going to do that because it's just, that's somebody else's cool thing, you know.
Well, I would like to. I mean, with Momentum Comics, I would like to challenge people. You know, I've got like a book that I'm working on that's like an accordion. You know, I've got one that's a scroll. You know, challenge people. What is a comic book? I'm thinking up now. Since it's a Western, going landscape and doing a sideways issue, because I've got my bucket list that I want to check off. You know, I like the staple books like we would get on the spinner racks. I almost hated the square bound, but now I worked at the local printing company here, World Color, that printed all the Marvel books, you know. And you know, I'd crack those things up, and you know, you generally pay a premium. You know, the days when a comic was $5 and you thought wow, that was a lot of money. Back then it was, you know. Now it's just standard, you know, that you spend that much on a comic. It's gotten expensive, and crowdfunding's really expensive. I mean, on Yellow Flashes and John Dillard's book, The Golden Patriot, I didn't know it at the time, but I got the Rainey cover because that was the only one that kind of spoke to me. And I said, well, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to get the cover that I want. $43 with shipping. It wasn't cheap for a floppy. Now that is a full cover. I didn't even know that when I ordered it. I just said, what art speaks to me the most? And it was hers, you know.
Was it $30 plus shipping?
I think
Something like that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was on Ripacin, so I'd never been on there before. You know,
I can see people wondering about that, like you just did. When I sold my book for 20 plus shipping, plus 10 shipping, and
domestic. Are you going to do international?
I'm going to do international, yeah. But and by the way, I will ship these international too. Like if you're in Australia and you win it, you win it. Okay.
Okay. And that's available to everybody who signs up and backs the book.
The way
Do they have to sign up to win it?
No.
Okay.
No, and I wouldn't want to do that, you know.
And how are you going to determine who wins?
Right, I'm going to have a number generator. So let's just say there's 10 million.
And it'll go by your backer number.
Well, here's how it works. You know, if you buy one copy, it goes by your backer number. If you let's say you get the catch-up tier because you missed the first issue, as an example, I will add another entry when on the bottom of the list.
If you back more than once, then you got more chances to win. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Because I know over on Fund My Comic, it's an accurate count. If you back one time or 100 times, you're only going to get one number. So when I look at my Devil Flyer campaign and it says 72 backers, I know 72 separate individual people. It's not that way over on Indiegogo or Kickstarter. I don't know about Kickstarter, but Indiegogo, you can get like 3, 4, 5, as many backer numbers as you want and drive that backer count up. But not so over on Fund My Comic. I kind of like that because I can get an accurate count of how much support I really have.
Yeah, I mean, in my case, I just had to come up with a simple way to figure out if you bought variant covers also, right? Let's say you are a Wolverine fan. And by the way, the Wolverine, I shouldn't say it's my favorite cover, but I worked so hard on the covers that I really loved the way it came out. Anyway, so if you get a variant cover, then I'll have a simple way of adding your entry at the bottom of the list, and then the next person they have there at the bottom of the list. So that's
you
how
say you're not a YouTuber, but are you going to go on other shows? And I do hope you'll come back here after you launch it.
Yeah, absolutely. You're the first show I'm going on.
Hey,
yes. And so now you've kind of got.
I mean, is this your very first show, or have you been on a panel before?
No, I mean, before I was on shows all the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like
I did not know that.
Ago. Yeah, a couple years ago, before I moved here, I was on shows often. And then
where did you hang out at? Like on what channels?
Mostly with Telepathic Bunny.
Okay,
Bunny. For sure. Yeah, I was with Cooper a lot, and the thing, and it was so much fun.
I got to do this, SHADOWPUNK. I'm sorry, you said the magic word. I'm sorry.
It's cool that you have that.
But every time I play his trailer, for some reason, he's got it built into the algorithm or something. He's plugged into the matrix or something. T-Bunny, every time I play your trailer, it becomes my thumbnail. When you run the cursor over the show, T-Bunny's trailer comes up, part of it. I don't know why, but it always does.
It's think cool.
Twice it does it,
I want to say, by the way, I want to say hi to the people in the chat because we know we're talking. Walter says, hi, Shadow. Hey. By the way, so when I first got on Comicsgate and YouTube, I didn't know how to put my name. Do I put my name or do I put my name in my book? So the way I did it was I just put the name of my book. And so just so people understand, my book is not a self-insert book at all. Okay, it's just it's stuck. Nobody cares what my first name is anymore because it's stuck, right? So I'm SHADOWPUNK, even if no matter what I do. Okay, so yeah, so what were we talking about? So yeah, I was on Telepathic Bunny for a while. And those guys are a lot of fun, man. At a certain point, when I realized what I was gonna do. Okay, I mean the figures alone took me a whole year to make.
Yeah.
So I had no time to mess around and have fun with hanging out with people as much as I want to. I was like, if this is gonna happen, you've got to do it. You got to barrel down. So that's why I haven't been on for so long. And that's why, like you say, I've been online, I've been on Twitter and in chats. But I was on with those guys, and so now I'm gonna now that you've gotten the ball rolling, and I have some of my artwork already coming out, and some of the statues are done, or I should say they're debuted now. I'll be able to go on the shows,
and kind of shield and promote, and
absolutely
get the thing going and get out there a little bit more.
Yeah, totally. I mean. I love talking to people. I love meeting people. But, I'm an artist. I like to just do the thing. Have fun doing the thing.
I know you art is important to you, and it's not important to everybody. But I'm glad when I meet a person that it is important to. And I would say if I could change something about this region, you have to go to Memphis to find a decent gallery, or you have to go to St. Louis or Kansas City or something like that. That's pretty sad. Or Little Rock here, probably within the state. We don't really have a good museum with a good collection of things,
From what I gather, my neighbors and the people I talk to, and that seems to track quite well. They don't.
Well, it's the weather, it's farming, it's duck hunting, it's I don't know, it's different things for different people, but art is not in the forefront of a lot of people's minds here.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it was just a struggle to live day to
Right.
day, but that's changed now, with the with the times that we don't have to like, if I don't chop that wood, the winter's going to come in and we're going to freeze to death. Um, but there's something uniquely American about that I feel like we need to embrace. And I'm really surprised that Westerns have come back like they have, and like I've seen before. Jimmy Palmiotti had a Kickstarter. There's Tom Tuttle's book. I've seen Westerns like nobody's business, either with the supernatural bent or whatever, but still they're doing the Western and they seem to be popular. And I asked somebody recently and they said it was because they thought it was because of a popular gaming thing that was sort of another, not an original story. It was kind of this other game, but it was kind of like put in a Western setting. It's really popular. So maybe that makes the most sense to me, because gaming is so much bigger than comics.
Well, it also I think what happens is once in a while something comes along that does it so darn well, and the game like Red Dead Redemption might be that game, or even like a movie like Unforgiven, where people go, "That's fucking awesome," right? Somehow it all comes together, and they feel the Western themes. And then people will love it. They really want it. But then everything has trends, like you said,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Everything's got trends. Kind of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles kind of did that anthropomorphic, character thing in the 80s. And it's still going on. They weren't the first, because Pogo, and there's always been that, but they kind of popularized it.
You know what? And it always ends up where let's just say Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a good example. The first one is really cool, and in 5 years you have these lame versions of another thing that's like that, right? Where you're like, it's worn itself out, right? You made as much money as you can out of it, and so and it's like that with everything. The music is like that.
Well, I think that the Western never quite went away. It kind of went underground, because there was always the Clint Eastwood movies. There was always Little House on the Prairie, or something that might have not been a Matt Dillon or a High Noon showdown in the street, but it was always sort of prairie or frontiers woodsmen like Davy Crockett or Daniel Boone. There was always something going on. Silverado, there was a lot of talk. Oh, Silverado making the cowboy movie popular again. Well, I don't think it ever really went away. It just kind of eased off on the pedal a little bit. And now it seems to be picking up in comics. Like, I know we've had Jonah Hex and Scalp Hunter and Weird Western Tales and stuff like that before. And especially in the 80s, there was a lot of, early 70s, Bronze Age, there was a lot of Westerns. There was a lot of monsters, because there was an easing up on the comic book code, and you saw a lot of these things come out in droves. And Dick Ayers did a lot of them, Larry Lieberman, and a lot of great artists. Rosetta did, like, the original Ghost Rider in the 50s. It's, I could see in the 50s and 60s it being more popular then, but I'm seeing something like I've never seen before. It's almost like, woo, look, the war books are back. And suddenly Sergeant Rock is the hottest thing. I've never quite seen that. It's always been there and been popular, but it's always kind of been niche within, and took a back seat to the superhero. And I know that's saying that the Western is over superseding, but it's definitely trending. And that's surprising to me.
I tell you, if you do these genres well, they're there for a reason, right? They're not there because they stink. They are, if you make them as potent as possible, that really people will gravitate towards it. But it is a challenge. Getting something right, Like if you said, hey, Matt,
Glenn.
if you said, hey, Matt, why don't you do a Western? I could do a Western, but I'm not plugged into Western themes.
Yeah.
My brain is, I just don't think that way. You know,
Right.
it would take me quite a while to figure out what the heck is going. But you know, some people are plugged into certain genres. You know, and
Yeah. Well, I only created my one reason I kind of bring that up. It's not because I love Western. Although when I look back on it, I watched Bonanza, Rifleman, Big Valley. Wasn't that hot on Big Valley, but there were so many Westerns out there you couldn't help but trip over them on TV. You know, maybe you're younger than I am, so you didn't trip over the Westerns like I did. But at one time, there was 30 something Westerns on TV. And at one time, the top 20 TV shows were Westerns. It's not that way anymore. And Westerns have always been around in comics, but I see them trending and they may be supernatural, but so was like Ghost Rider back in the day, the original, which is called Knight Rider now, but you know what I'm saying? Cowboys and guns.
If you look through like shows to watch, like there are like a gazillion of them where it's the woman who goes back to her old town she grew up in. She's older now and she's on the police force, so she's a detective. And there's like, that's like a genre that like people, they just make so many of them. And apparently people watch them, right? I mean, people.
Well, you know, when I don't know why, but I had an epiphany recently. I looked at a Flash comic and it had Hawkman on the cover because, you know, they would do a Flash cover, then Hawkman next issue, and then Flash, and then Hawkman, and they would trade off, right? In a lot of DC in the Golden Age. But you look at that and you got, I'm just making these names up, Sabo the Mystic, and you got Dr. Fate, and you got the Spectre, and you got all these different things, you know, and Timely was doing the same thing. Everybody was, so they were all superhero anthologies or funny animal anthologies and whatever. They had multiple stories in there. So there was something in there for everybody. And now I get into comics and I want to do an anthology and they go, well, anthologies don't sell. Well, I mean, yeah, they sold in the millions back in the 40s, you know, and they were selling that type of stuff even up in the early 60s in the millions. Dale was, you know, some of their books were still selling in the millions.
It's a tricky thing because
it has to be good, like you said.
But you know, if let's just say you want to do a certain style of comic book, you know, I would say go for it. You know, I mean, you know, because if you probably understand the genre pretty well, whatever it is, because you really want to do it, right?
Yeah.
You're plugged into it. So that alone, and so maybe people will look at it and react and they'll gravitate towards it. But then again, it's like, here's a good example. You could have a story that's fantastic, okay? And it's a comic book. And it's like Alan Moore level comic book, right? But if you don't have a character that epitomizes the heart of the story,
right,
the viewer can look at
flagship, a center figure and then you had to do secondary characters like your Jimmy Olsen's, your Perry White's, your Lois Lane's, right? You got to have your secondary character. It's good to go around in boots and capes and whatever, you know, your outfit is, but where do you rest your head at night? You know, where's your headquarters? Where's your pad, man? You know, you got to put all that in there eventually.
It's and I've noticed this about a lot of main characters. The main character has to really jump at the viewer, at the reader. You know, you really have to grab him and say, "This is a cool design," and it makes sense. Cyberfrog is a good example of this. You know, every angle is a twisted angle where there's chrome, right? And when you look at the early versions of it, it's effective, but it's not as effective. And he honed it.
He's honed that, and the reflections reflecting, you know, off I mean, yeah, you can do all kinds of things of that and distorted. So that's really cool. Give me your critique of this real quick.
Oh,
shameless shield.
I noticed there's two different styles.
Two different artists. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because one
John
looks like
Melendez that did the 29-page Devil Flyer story lives about 2 blocks from me here. We've been friends for like 45 years. He's been a designer around at different places, you know, Hytro and uh, uh, different graphics places. He wound up retiring from an architectural firm. They brought in computers and were kind of trying to train them on computers and do what what they had been doing by hand. I mean, he's got some great house layouts, you know, with the driveway and the bushes and everything. He would do like that, and watercolors or gouache. Awesome work, you know. Has to be very precise. He's very good at that. And then there's Doc Blaylock that did the Bog story.
Right, and that's so. The one feels like the Silver Age style, right?
Yeah,
which is sweet.
Yeah,
and then the other one feels like a horror comic,
like a Charlton horror or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like there's death involved. You know, like you can see the. So yeah, it's cool, really cool.
Yeah. Well, I want, you know, we got that central figure of Devil Flyer, like you said, that linchpin. And then the story built around, you know, where chaos is, you know, it kind of made a bad deal, you know, a Faustian deal with chaos, and chaos has entered the world again, like opening Pandora's box again. And so as he's removing these, you know, doing good, he's got to do things for the evil entity that's kind of got a contract with him. So he's got to remove these firewalls, but he's going to let in the apocalypse with it. So as he meets Bog and Innerman and all these other characters, he's kind of gathering them up into the Justice League or Avengers for the climax, you know, to fight this off. So, and it's more detailed than that. And at the same time, you got like different, you know, one thing I'm going to be doing is telling their stories in different timelines. Like the next one with Devil Flyer Zero, there'll be Momentum Unleashed Future Visions, where all the stories are told in the future. It may not be your future, but it may be the character's future. And like with my Western character that I created about 2 years ago, Midnight, she's going to be told when she's like at my age, about 60, and when she was younger. So you'll be able to tell two different types of stories, you know, the young person that's just getting started and the old man Batman, like you said. And she is kind of Batman-ish.
Well, you know? I'll tell you what, the first thing I noticed was the design of the Devil Flyer. And I think that's really cool too. And I also like your hook, which is the Faustian bargain. Which when you see the character, it makes sense, right? It's not confusing at all. He doesn't look like Tony Stark or something, right?
Yeah. In his actually doing a good deed that you don't see till the 6th issue, he lets all this loose and he's got to deal with it and make things right. And along the way, I play with you. Is he a good guy or is he a bad guy? You know, because I'm going to do a story that's going to maybe throw some shade that he's not a hero in the next issue, but the story's told 250 years in the future. There's, you know, stories, a Midnight story that'll be an old lady Midnight, kind of like Old Man Logan. Huh? So it's a mashup. It's got a lot
of Old Man Logan story. Because you brought that is probably my favorite, one of my favorite stories ever.
Yeah.
And I own a bunch of the original art pages.
Oh wow!
From the comic book.
I
remember when he fights the Red Skull, and he takes a shield and he cuts his head off. I own one of those pages. I think it's the one where he's going like that.
Now, who did you go through to acquire your artwork?
There's a guy in New York that sells.
Okay, gallery.
His work. The art, I think it's the artist choice. It's an online collection. He's an online dealer, right?
Okay. Oh, he's like a rep for these artists.
Yes, that's what it is. And I bought them the day they came out, like when the book came out, right? And then the other pages I have a bunch of pages put together of when he goes to the camp to kill all the Hulks, all the Banner Red Hulks.
Yeah.
From the explosion all the way to before the Hulk. I got the ones where he's killing Banner, and Banner's loving it because he wants to kill the Hulk. I got those pages, and it's just, I mean, maybe McNiven made such an impact on me. That's why I love his artwork. You know?
Yeah.
It's just awesome. It's just awesome. And
what do you think about Art Adams?
I mean, he's only the best, right? I mean, he's only just so awesome. I
love this Godzilla. Any monster.
It's like Roquefort.
Yeah.
Where you go. If you're gonna do that style, it's the best ever.
What do you think about Walt Simonson? What do you think about Walt Simonson?
Yeah. Walt Simonson is he is awesome, and he grabs you by the balls.
Yeah.
His art is so explosive.
Yeah.
If he couldn't do Ditko, right?
Yeah. Right. Ditko's got a very simplistic.
I mean, but I mean, probably obviously, I think it's Thor 337 with Beta Ray Bill smashing the logo. That's one of the most famous covers ever, right?
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, all those guys I grew up reading made such an impact. So it's like growing up and saying you were into a certain band and you never stopped liking them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're always a Zeppelin fan, or whatever your thing is. You're Elvis fan.
No matter if you started with Zeppelin 1 or started with Zeppelin 4, you like their stuff. Yeah.
And so even no matter who comes out now, no matter how good they are, there's something that when it enters into you when you're young, where you really connect with that music, and the artwork is the same thing.
Are you primarily indie now? Or you strike me as, okay, I still buy back issues, which I do too.
I don't really spend the money on that stuff right now, to be honest with you. I wish I could.
Yeah.
I've also
but now you have backed some campaigns, right? Some Indiegogo or something like that in the past.
Yeah. Yep, a ton of them.
Yeah.
A ton of them. Yep. And they are some were awesome and some were still learning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So once in a blue moon, I found one that it felt economical. Which you don't really want it, but that's so rare. When I buy a book, I want to know that the artist put everything in it in the kitchen sink.
Right.
And most of the time I get that, because
I think just doing mine, just allowing myself the time to think out what I really want to do and the voice that I really want to, the beat the rhythm that I want to convey has been the main thing that I've learned is that, and that might take time to ferment, to get that taste that you want, or you might have to wait on that artist to do that particular piece for you. I know I had to wait a whole year to try and get some 6 a.m. stickers, for my campaign. And then when I did, I was like, he did 6 of them for me. And I asked him recently and he's busy again, so there's certain artists that you can get at certain times. And then
did that with,
certain times you can't.
That happened to me a lot. When I first came on, people wanted me to do a 3D figure. statue of their character as a commission. And I did some commissions, you know, and then I would just get so buried into my own book. I can't spend 3 weeks working on the thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I just don't have the time. And some people
I gotta
like,
hand it to you.
like,
That's ambitious. You doing a whole color comic, because color is another step that costs, you know. A 48 pager full color is a lot of money to produce.
Well, it is. It is. If you look at my artwork, color is a big factor.
Mm-hmm.
And I love putting color on stuff. And I think I'm not bad at it.
So you're doing the artwork and the coloring in the book, right?
I'm doing everything.
You're doing the lettering.
I'm doing the lettering.
Okay.
I do that. And so the way I do it is I lay the book out and I letter it in the very beginning. Roughly letter it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can step back and go, this is going to work and build up to this GPS, this double spread. And then it's going to build up, you know, stuff like that. I can see the bigger picture. And then and then what I end up doing is by the time I'm finished, I fine tune the dialogue on a regular basis. I read it again and I go, you know, that seems clunky, you know? And so that's how I do it. And
so what is your main influence on, like your two main influences on Cyberpunk?
On SHADOWPUNK?
Inferno. SHADOWPUNk. I'm sorry.
It's
Thanks, Homer. Put that in my mind.
I mean,
it's unique, huh?
There are influences for sure.
Yeah.
A big influence on me is Blade Runner, that movie Blade Runner back there. See the poster?
Right.
I'm a big Ridley Scott fan. And
did you like the sequel?
Well,
that came out years later.
I wouldn't say that it was bad, but it's not the same animal.
It's not. It's not. Yeah.
So
the other was gritty. It was dystopian.
But the other one, it doesn't tell you. It has mysteries in it that they're still talking about today in the story.
Well, like a private detective, you know, he's stumbling, bumbling, almost like Columbo through this, trying to figure this out, right? And he gets more than he bargained for it, really.
Well, but he is a replicant.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the first movie, he goes to do the examination on Sean Young, on Rachel. And before that happens, Terrell says she doesn't know that she's a replicant. And so Harrison Ford says, how can she not know what she is? Like this is crazy. And the irony is he doesn't know what he is.
Which goes back to the original Star Trek story where she's an android that Da Vinci has went out in space or whatever. He's been Caesar, Da Vinci, you know, the old story. I don't know if you've seen it, the original Star Trek, but she's an android and doesn't shout. She thinks she's real, you know. And the way they kind of defeat her is kind of confuse her logic. You know, am I real? Am I not real? And she freezes up, you know.
Okay.
Or whatever.
I tell you what, I love the original Star Treks. I don't watch the other ones. It's okay if you hate me because I don't watch them. Right. I mean, some people love the new ones, right? It's a different animal, and I only like the original ones.
Okay.
Because they're like stage. It looked like to me like stage plays.
When early TV it was more studio driven, even like the Gunsmokes. It wasn't till like the 70s till they started doing on location, you know. It was all, they had the whole front street and city in the studio with the dirt on the floor and everything. and the painted backgrounds, for distance. And you can tell it. So that's not a show you really want to put in high definition, because you're like, there's a wall with clouds. And, later they would do the insert of the clouds moving and stuff. They'd show you the city down here, and, they would have to cut that part out and then superimpose that, to make it look like it was outside.
Omer Glitch asked, was it confirmed that Deckard was a replicant? And yes, it was confirmed. In 2049, when he goes to meet
Just a minute.
Jared Leto, I don't remember what his name was. Anyway, when they're sitting in that room, he tells him that Deckard, he says you're a replicant, and that Tyrell had made it so that you can reproduce with Rachel. And I did that.
What happened to it?
Oh, I still have it.
He still has it. Uh-oh, you might get an offer. That's, I don't know, Shadowhawk, which, I wish he'd come in here and at least say hi to you. His favorite character is Salamandroid, and that goes all the way back to the Hall of Heroes mid-90s, early 90s stuff that Ethan did.
Well, the reason why he brought it up is because I gave him one.
Oh, that too. Oh, okay. Yeah, I knew that. We don't advertise it. But
for the record,
yeah,
I
remember
can't.
that.
I would never ever sell it ever. But I knew that he was a fan, so I gave him one.
Yeah,
and that's it. It was a long time ago too. But
well, I think that's cool that he was. I mean, because really, Cyberfrog and Salamander were an obscure, small label. Hall of Heroes, and then Harrison House after that. Harrison Comics. But that was his favorite character. And then, he's out of comics for 18 years, and then he discovers crowdfunding and that Cyberfrog's being published again.
Really?
Yeah. So he did a quantum leap from like then to there, and I think that's cool. He quit comics about the time I did, about 1999, but he was gone for 18 years. I was gone for like 2 years while I did mission work and stuff. Started out in a mission there in Paragould, mission outreach that is still there, and I spray it every time I go over that way. And then as a thank you, for employing me for a year and a half. And I actually worked and went to church over in Paragould for 6 years. And then I came back over here to Jonesboro and worked at a mission here, another mission outreach here that was city team. And also 3 months I worked at the Salvation Army. So, and done prison ministry and all kinds of stuff. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah, that's part of my history. But anyway, I've tricked you, as I often do. He wanted to be on an hour, and he's graciously given us 2.5 hours.
2.5 is pretty good. I mean, we could probably just man. We could probably just keep it going. I'll come back on for sure.
Really, I mean, you could get a PhD and not discover it all in comics. It's that fast.
It's that fast.
It really is. And they started, I was going to tell you, they started teaching it in comics. I mean, in college. And Roland Mann of Silverline Comics, who we've had on here a couple times, he teaches a college course on comics. And he also has family up in Pickett. His parents live in Pickett, which is not that far from us. So from Arkansas, we're going to get out of here, and we're going to have SHADOWPUNK on again, because he's a dirty YouTuber now. He's coming out of hiding. He's coming out of the shadows. Or maybe those are just dirty rumors and I'm projecting upon him.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. I'm really glad that you asked.
Well, good. And either right before you launch or right after you launch, let's get you penciled in and let's have you back on and talk more in depth about, but it was cool talking to you about the 3D sculpting and just art in general and comics. So you know, you can't do it all in one setting. You know, like I say, and I think it's really cool, and we'll double down on this next time you're on, that you do it all. You're kind of like a Michael Bancroft or an Apex Comics. You do everything. You do the pencils, the inks, the colors, the lettering, the logos, I assume, everything. Yeah.
I do everything. You know what? It's a little bit of this, right? I mean, it's, you know, I'm not saying everybody should do it the way I do it. You know, I just don't. I just don't like. I just don't like letting go. You know? Hey, thank you, sir. And by the way, yeah, that is a good point. That the replicants age, and that is like that's kind of thing you have to like concoct a reason, right? You know, because you want Harrison Ford to be in the second movie, right? So yeah, they come up with a reason why he aged, you know. But yeah,
you know, I mean, they waited so long to do that sequel, and now they're doing a Braveheart sequel like 40 years later, and I don't know that it's necessary. Even though it was a good movie, you thought they would have done a sequel like right after that. That was movie of the year. You know, I don't think we need to know what Robert the Bruce is all about, but they're doing one of those. They're finally doing a Passion of the Christ too. It seems like everything else in Hollywood, they're kind of bankrupt when it comes to story. They're doing a lot of sequels or remakes.
you know what?
You know, I as creator, I say become the entertainment you want to see.
That's the only way you can do it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Final thoughts about your project coming soon?
On the way out, you want to play my trailer? Were you able to find it?
I never found it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'll just say thanks again for letting me on. And it's great talking to you. It's very, very fun talking to you.
Now you're going to drop that soon on your channel, correct? The trailer?
Yeah. I just haven't figured out a time to do it, but probably soon. Okay. Yeah.
Now you've already got on your channel a teaser trailer. Is that right?
No, this is the trailer. That's it.
Okay.
The one you saw that I just took down today is the old one.
I promise you I will play it tomorrow. We played it yesterday, but I just don't have it at my fingertips. It's probably down in the description. And no mod is necessary. You know, grabbed it for me. Oh, curse you. Anyway, we're going to get out of here. Say the magic words. Keep collecting, and we're going to get out of here.
All right. Keep collecting.
Oh, nailed it in one. Look at that. He's a pro.
The world.